Hey, what's up, D?
What's up?
Oh man, just chilling with you up too.
Oh, I'm just sitting here relaxing.
Oh, okay. Did you download the movie?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know one thing: if Disney don't hurry up and do something, they're gonna, all that money they paid for Star Wars is gonna go down the drain, and the only person that's gonna benefit from it was George,
Right.
financially, anyway.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier when I texted you, I watched it again. I still don't care for it.
Mm-mm. No, Deshaun had told me earlier that this Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, he's supposed to be involved in that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that'll give me some hope.
Well, I was telling him Disney can't tell the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Only George Lucas can do that. Because actually, through my research, Obi-Wan Kenobi was the first character that he even thought of for the Star
Oh,
Wars
so that's his.
trilogy.
So basically, that's his baby then.
Yeah.
Is the character? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Then it was first Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then it was Darth Vader. Those were the two main characters. Those were the two first characters that he had thought of. You know, but they had called me actually when I was on my Friday at my job because they had me for three nights off, and then while I was at work, they called me in there and said, we're gonna put you on the schedule for Saturday night, Sunday morning, because see they know that if I'm not on the job and they call me, I'm not answering my phone. It kind of pissed me off, because when you work a graveyard job, you don't really have 2 nights off.
Right.
you know
That's
you
true.
you really have one night off, and it gets kind of overwhelming, especially when you're working at a place that you're not happy with. And actually, when you a free spirit, I don't care where you work, you ain't gonna be happy.
Yeah, that's true. That's what me and you call divine discontent.
Yep. And and you walk around um with this whole image that you have to put on like a glove, in order to maintain your income. And they notice with me at the job lately, I just don't even want to talk to no customers. It's like when the customers, I'm able to read people so well now that I could be walking and I could see a customer looking around. Once they're looking around, I could tell that's just a bunch of crap. They just try to wait until I get closer to them so they can say, "Excuse me." So it's like as soon as I see them come in, they start looking around. I go in the other direction. Yep, I go in the other direction. My old man got dementia.
Oh, I'm not. I think I remember you hinted at that last year when you we was talking about. You said you felt like he passed that or something like that, Alzheimer's. So, dang.
Yeah, and cause the way that I found that out, I had I don't know, it's kind of strange because um for some reason the creator had involved you in this inspiration to listen to that message again. Now you want me to explain that?
Yeah, you break that down.
I can I could feel the creator telling me listen to that message again, and it's almost like I could feel your presence, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like, why do you do it like that? you know and I think it's because you're the only person who I talk to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know it may be kind of surprising for you to hear that, or it might not be surprising. But if it's one thing that if you was out here, people would tell you David don't really talk to nobody. Outside of my sons, you the only person I communicate with.
That's an honor, man.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm like Mike. I'm just, I remember what he told me. Stay humble. But it's just that when I listen to it, And by me knowing the basic fundamentals and you might as well say the basic characteristics of
Right.
dementia, I'm listening to this man talk, and he's taking two experiences, mixing it together, coming up with some crazy perception of what happened, and totally delusional. And I'm like, so I was right. This man is dealing with dementia, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't have to retire. I mean, he's saying, well, I retired from preaching. No, you had to retire because he was up there preaching, jumping all over the place, and he pretty much had everybody all confused.
Right. Shoot, some would say that dementia is a punishment. If you
Yeah,
think about it, and
it
it
is.
makes sense. That's a horrible way. I rather shoot between losing my mind, I think losing your mind is like one of the worst ways you can die.
I had put up a post about dementia yesterday, and whenever you can, take some time reading it because
Okay, I'll hop on Facebook.
because dementia, the Quran speaks about dementia. It doesn't mention dementia, but it speaks about it. It basically is saying that um, Allah will give you the opportunity to resolve your differences. See, it's like, you remember when I was telling you, I was saying I would never abuse my gift.
Right.
That's like when in Dawn of Redemption, even though Daniel and them was getting sexually abused, when I was writing this story with Gordon, you know that other guy who wanted to write it with me,
Mhm.
he wrote out a scene where Daniel was in the midst of getting abused, and it was too graphic for me. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to use that. He said, yeah, but it's about him being abused. I said, me, the way that I'm going to write my story, I want to keep people more interested in the storyline. I don't want to upset nobody. I said, that's a little
Yeah.
bit too much. You know
Yeah,
what
'cause
I'm
that'll
saying?
remind a lot of people of a lot of pain.
Yeah, I said, because the story is so powerful, I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to upset anybody. Because Gordon got real graphic with it, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to use that. Just mention that we were abused and our face was pushed down in our pillows and stuff while we were being violated. That's it. That's all you're getting from David. We were violated, and if you don't know what that means, look it up in a dictionary or the thesaurus,
Right.
or ask somebody, because you're not gonna get no nasty graphic stuff out of me. I'm not gonna abuse my gift like that. Now, in Sonny, when he first um, um, had sex with Gladys, this was after a football game, because this is back when they was in high school, and Gladys was sitting on his car waiting for him, and he said that she had pulled me between her legs while she was sitting on the car, and before I knew it, I was inside of her. That's it. That's all you're getting out of me. You know what that means.
Yeah.
So I don't have to, oh, she fell back and I lifted her legs up and no. That's not necessary. Go on with the story. Because if there's one thing that I've noticed, even in my writing, is that when I'm writing and all of a sudden I notice that the music that I'm listening to while I'm writing, it titillates my hormones, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a song with about sex, but it's something about that particular piece of music that shifts my mind in that direction, and I can't concentrate like that. Because when you're horny, all you want is some pussy.
Yeah, you're right.
And so you can't concentrate, and so that's another reason why you gotta have you can't have the wrong type of women in your life.
Right.
You know, and I've gotten to the point where I don't think my life is destined for women, because women get on my nerves too much. You know, they get on my nerves. You know, and the nature of a woman, she talks too much, and I don't like women that talk. You know, I've gotten to the point to where it's not that I don't like women that talk too much. I just don't like women that talk. Don't say
Well,
anything.
shoot.
You know.
Well, our shoes would be good for then just popping and leaving.
Yeah, because I'm like this. Just tell me when the dinner's ready and get the hell out my face. You know, and if you have something to say, let it be something intelligent. You know, I don't want to hear about what this person said and all of that and what's going on the reality shows. Man, I'm starting to pull away from a lot of ignorance. You know, I really feel myself pulling away from a whole lot of things that really hold no meaning. But let me see, what was I talking about? I'm talking about my
Dementia.
yeah. But when I listened to that message, I like, this fool's got dementia. He's got dementia because I'm listening to him. He's hopping all over the place. He's mixing things up, and he's coming up with all of these things that absolutely did not happen. You know, and he's delusional, illusional, and all that. I'm like, no. So, like I was saying, the Quran speaks on that, where it says that Allah will take common. I'm just paraphrasing, but it takes common knowing and intelligence out of your mind, so that you will be pretty much cursed with all of the all of the things that you never tried to resolve. So you're pretty much a prisoner of your own mind, pretty much, and
Right.
you leave yourself in total opposition of, I would say, how you would want it to be for the rest of your life. You know, and he's the type of person, he likes people looking up to him. You know, he wants people to honor him and respect him, but all at the same time, the basic, the real meaningful and basic things, you know, these are basic things. You know, we're talking about just your children. You know, those type of things he left unresolved. So it really doesn't matter how much you do for the rest of the world, how much people love you in the world, and they honor you and they look up to you and all of that. If your children do not honor you, then all of what you've done outside your family doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, if you're not a great man to your children, then you're not a great man to nobody. And so I bring all of that up is because you remember when you were saying that when he came out here, that was his dawn of redemption.
Mhm.
That stayed with me. I'm like, okay, that's the reason why the creator enjoying Josh in this whole um, inspiration thing. And then I noticed this was back in 2009. No, 2014 when he was out here. Now here it is, 2018. It's not those many years. We're only talking 4 years.
Yeah. 4 years.
He's got dementia. And I'm like, okay, now this dementia is a gradually deteriorating process. We're only talking 3 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because 2014, I had that accident 2 weeks after he left here, which was February the 14th. So we're looking at almost the first part of 2014. So you might as well say like 3.5 years or something like that, close to 3.5 years. So why did he come out here? Because he had to retire from his church in Mount Zion because of his condition. He comes out here, all of a sudden he wants to reconcile his differences, but he's such an asshole, he just couldn't do it. You know, he's dodging things, you know, certain things he don't want to talk about.
And that's another reason why he got dementia. It's
Right.
like his consciousness is taking him out.
Mm-hmm. You know, he's calling his grandchildren bastards. You know, that's just like when he was out here. I came up, I hugged him, I kissed him on the cheek. It was something wrong with me kissing him on the cheek. You know, that's not what men do. I said, you my daddy. I can kiss you anytime I feel like it. You know, what is this male ego? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wish, I wish my pops was like that affectionate. I'm pretty sure are you that affectionate with your son?
Yeah.
You know, a man should be that way. I don't know if this is American society or whatever, but I know that before we became colonized, we was real affectionate with our children.
You know, it ain't got nothing to do with the Western civilization. You can't blame that on the Western civilization, you know, because this is just a strictly an affectionate thing towards your offspring.
Right.
But considering him being a preacher, I tell you exactly where he got that from. He got that from Paul. You know, because he always quotes Paul. Well, Paul said this, Paul said that. You know what? To hell with Paul. How about that?
Paul is the most confusing person in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. You know, so it was something wrong with that. You know, everything is a man thing. It's a man thing. Y'all in the flesh. You're not in the spirit. I mean, didn't Jesus kiss his disciples?
Yeah.
All of the disciples greeted each other with a kiss. I mean, even Judas kissed Christ, even when he betrayed him. You know, but as Paul comes into the picture, all of a sudden it's a gay thing. You know, because when you turn it into a male ego thing, you saying that it's a potential gay thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I said, oh, okay, so now I see what's happening with him. You know, he's being imprisoned with his own madness, because he used this mind to abuse people for so many years. Now that's exactly what he's being left with. Now he had the chance to resolve his issues when he came out here. Now he can't do it because
you go.
because that was his dawn of redemption, and he rejected it.
Man, you know, like they say, not to quote scripture, but it's like if you do evil long enough, you're giving over to a reprobate mind. He literally has a reprobate mind.
Mm-hmm.
He can't get right.
No, he can't.
He pretty much damned himself after 2014.
Absolutely. And
so now it's not the dawn of redemption, it's the damned of redemption.
Yeah,
For
absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, and that goes to show you when I say stop touching the same fire that burns you, because no matter how many times you stick your hand in that fire, it's going to burn you. It's going to hurt you. So you have to let it go. You have to leave them alone. And so now he is in a similar condition that Muhammad Ali was in. Because Muhammad Ali had a great mind, yet and still he turned around and he betrayed a whole lot of people who helped him, just like Joe Frazier. I mean, he went before the world and he humiliated the man who kept him eating. And if you don't think that that's going to come back on you, it is, because he never apologized to Joe Frazier. He called Joe Frazier's son in after he won the fight and told him, "Can you tell your daddy that I'm sorry?" And Muhammad Ali asked Joe Frazier's son to take that message to Joe Frazier. He took that message to Joe Frazier, and Joe Frazier had told his son, "How come he can't come and tell me himself? He has to be able to come to tell me that himself." And I totally understand that. Let's face the issues. Let's resolve the issues. Now, if you know that you've done me wrong, why are you telling my son to take that message to me? Why can't you come to me and tell me that you were wrong?
Right.
And then they had a gathering when they had all of them on the stage, and they said that Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier had finally reconciled their differences, and they was backstage hugging and stuff like that. Now, people may say, "Well, Dave, you kind of hard on them," but the whole thing is, why did it take that event? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's a real question.
Why did it take that particular event? How come he just couldn't say, "Look, I'm wrong. I'm going to take a flight and I'm going to go find Joe Frazier and I'm going to apologize to him one-on-one without no cameras, none of that. I just want to apologize to my brother because that was wrong." See, that's being real. And that's what I tried to do when he was out here. But he's steady, slashing open wounds, slashing open wounds, slashing open wounds. So, hey, now his wife and all of my sisters are going to have to deal with that because I'm not going to be nowhere around.
Well, yeah.
Because by him having dementia, I'm not going to come around him. You know, you talking about he don't remember anything because it seems like he's got this foul instinct towards me to where it really doesn't matter what state of or condition his mind is in. The only thing he's got for me is fire.
Yeah, he'll make up a new lie on you.
Yeah, he'll make up something new, and I'll be standing there like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then they'll be saying, "Don't talk to him like that. He's got dementia. You know, he ain't himself." You know what? Y'all deal with that because he had his chance when he came out here. And so, once you see that post, Supreme had wrote on there that his mother has dementia. And he said that it's very hard dealing with that because she's not the same woman that she used to be anymore. And so he said it's very hard to deal with. And I said to myself, well, I'm not going to be dealing with it at all.
Right.
Because I'm so separated and distant from the family, ain't no need of me being there anyway. What you calling me for? Well, we gonna have to do something about that. What's this we stuff? It don't have anything. Whatever's going on with him has absolutely nothing to do with me. So that's y'all thing. But getting off of that, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Right.
Because that's real. That's a
Like
real.
when that came to you, like when that realization that he has dementia came to you, like did you feel anything inside?
I felt like it was justice.
Yeah, I figured you was gonna say that because that's what it is. You did you kind of basically say you kind of felt a sense of resolve.
Yep. And that reassured me that nobody can give justice like the Creator can. And it also was a warning to me. It was a warning, but the warning came in a sense of information. And what I mean by that is that so that you won't have to fall into this cycle, continue to always be loving and respectable to your children.
Right.
And pass this information on to other men who feel as though that I feel as though that are too hard on their sons. And that goes back to that Denzel movie. Because once it got to the point where that woman who he had that baby by, he started losing his mind.
Yeah.
Talking about death. I'm gonna build a big fence up around my house and keep death out. And I hear a lot of black people talking about that movie, and I'm like, y'all just don't get it. Y'all didn't get it at all. When you're watching that movie, that man was losing his mind.
The one scene that Negroes like to quote is when he was talking to his son about how he do all this and that. And Negroes love that scene, but they don't. Me and you had a conversation about that last year when the movie came out or whatever. I know you get it. That's the typical Negro talking point, thinking that just because they do everything on a physical level, as far as buying and providing, well, that's all there is of parenting, and they don't understand there's way more to it than that.
Yeah, I put up a post about that. And didn't nobody touch that. I mean, it was very few people who wanted to deal with that, because I was waiting. You can't be worried about who likes you. He ain't worried about, he's not concerned about who likes him in the world, but he wants to know, does his father like him? Does his father love him? See, because when you have that love at home, that's your refuge. So when you come out of a world that don't like you, you can go home and say, well, whatever. I know I'm loved by my parents, so the rest of the world don't have to like me. But that young man, he needed to know that his father loved him, and he couldn't understand, how come you don't like me? And when people hear that question, you have to read into that question. How come you never liked me? So wait a minute. How come you never liked me? What does that question mean? What have I done to cause you to dislike me? So in other words,
Right.
I have not done anything to you to cause this feeling towards me that you have. People just want to take it for, just by a sentence. No, you have to read into the words. How come you never liked me? In other words, what have I done? And then he's coming up to him, making him feel as though he's a burden. Liking your ass was never part of the deal. So you're going to say that to your son?
And don't forget the typical, black parent. What they always, Negroes always say, I'm your parent, I ain't your friend. Black parents say that more than anybody.
Yeah.
And on one level, I get what they're saying, but on another level, if you want your children to open up to you, you kind of have to kind of be their friend too, because that's the problem. Children children keep all these secrets and they feel like their parents are out of touch. So if you really want to, get to know your children, you got to be open. I ain't saying you got to do everything they do, but you got to be understanding on some level.
Yeah, and with that being said, when you that's just like the relationship I have with my sons. Deshaun and Dylan can come and talk to me about anything. I don't overreact about anything.
Growing up, my pop overreacted so much that I didn't tell him anything. Still don't, because I knew I would just get an angry response or loud, just niggerish.
I don't overreact about anything, because everything can be resolved. Just like when Deshaun was on my balcony, right, and he was working on his PC, and he was using some blue paint to spray on his PC that he's building. He had got some blue paint on the balcony walls. I didn't get upset, because the only thing we got to do is get some chemical. Like I told him, we can get that up. That's no big deal. No big deal. If it can be resolved, why are you tripping on your kids?
Right.
Why walk out? Oh man, you get all this paint. Look, dude, shut up. Can't you just go up to the store and get you some chemical and get that off? Yeah, when it stops yelling at your son. It's not the end of the world. If it can be resolved, if you can get the paint up, or whatever the case may be, resolve it. Why are you abusing your son? Stop talking to your kids like that. That's why I call those type of guys losers, man. You guys are losers. You ain't men. You're losers. So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, well, at least, well, let me get back to Muhammad Ali in comparison. When he had abused Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier even shedded tears behind Muhammad Ali's condition and was telling that I wish that he could be just like everybody else. I wish he could be um, the same way that we're living. And so sometimes your madness, even though you are made to deserve this, sometimes it still hurts people.
Yeah, that's true.
Because people look at you and they say, "Wow, how I just wish that he could be like us right now." Yeah, but that's what he's dealing with is between him and the Creator and his evil towards you and other people. That's what that's all about. What were you getting ready to say?
I forgot. I think you probably pretty much said it or whatever. So
That's between him and his own evil. And so when you go further into it, Muhammad Ali wasn't even able to enjoy his children and his grandchildren.
So who really got the ultimate punishment? It was him, not Frazier. When you basically, that's what you're saying.
Because he was sitting in the wheelchair, he couldn't speak anymore. His mind was still active. He wasn't blind, so he was able to see what was going on. He was able to hear and understand what was going on. But the great Muhammad Ali, who always had a big mouth and always had something to say, was not put in the position to where he could say anything else. The same as my old man was put in the position to where he can no longer preach. He can't preach no more. Because regardless of all of those years that you was helping everybody else and preaching to everybody else, you were still causing chaos and misery to your own children.
Yeah.
And with all of these lies and all of this stuff, I think that phone conversation was pretty much a message to me in which was telling me you don't have to do anything else. You don't owe this man anything. You don't even owe him a visit. Because he set up an atmosphere that would be harmful to you. Because if you listen to the conversation, all he cared about, I just want to see all of my kids together. Well, if that's what you wanted, you would have never separated everybody, like I said before.
Right.
You have to create that environment through the years. You can create confusion and chaos, and then all through the years, and then figuring, okay, well, now that I done made up my mind that I want to see everybody together, everybody's supposed to fall in place. That's like a man walking through, and I always use this illustration. This is just like it's pretty much like a man walking through this big kingdom of mirrors, and he takes his sword or hammer, and it's like he walks down this whole hallway of mirrors, and he shatters every mirror, which is every opportunity, you might as well say. He shatters it, and then when he gets to the last mirror, he looks in it, and he don't see anybody standing behind him, but there's that mirror is already shattered, and he didn't have to break that one.
Right.
And then he's looking at it, how come this mirror is broke? This mirror, you broke this last mirror when you broke the first one. And that has a symbolic meaning. And actually, me and Fetchy is going to get together and write a book. It's going to be a story. It's going to be like a mystical story based on everything that me and him has learned. And I was telling him about that Temple of Mirrors, and he said, "Yeah, man." He said that'll be deep.
Yeah, that Temple of Mirrors thing is almost metaphysical in the way you just described it, like something.
See, because you can't skip over any mirror. You have to look in every single one of those mirrors. And when you look in those mirrors, You're going to see you. So you really can't blame, you can't point the finger at nobody. You know, I'm not trying to sound self-righteous, but I feel like I could walk down that temple of mirrors and look in every single mirror and see where I've made mistakes and see where I've learned, and just keep going to the next one. You know,
Right.
each mirror is gonna remain that way, but every mirror I'm gonna be able to look at it and see where I've learned. I'm not gonna skip over any mirrors. You know, when you shatter the mirrors, it means that you're still doing the same thing over and over again. You're still thinking the same way, but you don't realize it. You know you're destructive, you're egotistical, you're you're a narcissist, and then you got the nerve to get to the last mirror and you look in it and you like, how come this mirror is shattered? Because you shattered the first one, you shattered all the other ones.
Cause and effect.
Well, that's not fair. Oh yes, this is definitely fair. And if you go all the way back and you look back at all the mirrors, you will understand why this last one is also shattered. Because you had all of these opportunities to look at yourself and your actions, and instead of changing it and cleaning the mirror and looking in the mirror and making adjustments like we do and cleaning yourself up, he just kept going. And when you walk past that mirror shatters. Because that mirror is for you. It's not for anyone else. It's for you. And so actually, you don't really get any second chances after you refuse to make adjustments in the first one. You don't get any more second chances. Because that first one and that last one, it's going to pretty much represent where your mind and spirit is.
Right.
The ones in between, it all depends. If they are unshattered, it only means that you took the time and the care and the effort to look into the first one, and you saw yourself for what it is. Okay, I see where I was wrong, so I'm going to make adjustments. So you go to the second one, and the Creator shows you this mirror. Okay, now what you did wrong with this one was that one. Okay, you make adjustments and you keep going until you get to the last mirror, and then you look in the last mirror and you see all of your kids together. And see, what people don't understand is that those mirrors represent you when you first come into this life. It doesn't start when you become grown or an adult. It begins with your treatment of yourself and therefore other people from the very spark of consciousness and intelligence. You're not exempt just because you are a young kid. You're not exempt. I'm sorry. Because I've looked back in a whole lot of mirrors when I was coming up. That's why when I got back in touch with John Veal, because I used to kick John Veal's ass. For real. I used to kick his ass.
You mean with your hands?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I knew you beat us behind with your mouth or whatever, as far as talking to him or debating, but I didn't know you actually used to beat him down.
Oh, no, I used to kick John Veal's ass, man. Because
well, you ain't got to tell me the stories now, but you got to tell me that one day.
No, I can tell you now. It's no big
Okay.
deal. You know, when John Veal moved into the neighborhood, we wasn't no hood type kids, but we wasn't no punks either.
Right.
And so John Veal came from a very delicate background. And so John was we didn't understand John. And so we used to kick John's ass and try to make him tough. Until one day we was over at my friend Bernard Conley's house. And for no reason at all, I started kicking John's ass. And the way John was looking at me with these tears in his eyes, when I looked at him and he was looking at me, he was like, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm your friend." And when I went to bed that night, I started crying because I couldn't get John's eyes out of my mind. And so the very next day, Bernard and them was joking about what I did, and I told Bernard and them, I said, I would never in my life do that to John again, ever. And they say, why? I said, that was just dead wrong. That was wrong, what I did to John. 2 days later, who comes up to my door and asks me if I wanted to come out to play? It was John Veal. And so we was real good friends after that, and I never in my life touched John again. I had even apologized to John. And he said, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." I said, "No, it's not okay." And so after all of those years, when I didn't know where John Veal was, and I finally got in touch with him, as an adult, I wanted to apologize to him again. And he said, "Man, that's in the past. Let it go, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Yeah, but I just want to apologize to you again, because we was kids, and my apology to you was real, but I wanted to do it again because through the years, it still bothered me. I'm pretty much doing this to settle my own heart and to settle my own mind." And he had accepted it, but John is a Christian preacher, so I eventually had to let him go. Even when my cousin was out here, John Veal had told my cousin, "Tell him I said hi." So we're going to eventually resolve our differences, but it won't be over no internet. It would definitely have to be when I either go out there or he comes out here.
Right.
But your dad is going to have to go through that too.
What? Do what?
About the whole Harlem Mirrors.
I know he won't be able to face himself.
Oh well.
He can't.
What's that?
I said he can't do that now.
Well, that pretty much goes back to what I was talking about. That's the narcissist in them. They can do no wrong, and pretty much that's all they do is wrong.
And then when they apologize, they can't fully apologize. They always got to throw some clause in there where they right about something.
Mhm.
It's like, can't you just admit that you was totally wrong about, but no, not them? Even when they wrong, they right. Even when they lie, they tell the truth. That's the kind of mindset they got.
Mhm.
So somebody like that, man, the only way they ever get right is if they taken down. And even then, they might not get right. So it's like pretty much like they're damned until they choose not to be damned.
Mhm. And that's just like when you look at the movie Fences. When he told her, "I'm not going to that man's funeral because I have to be able to say no to him. And this time I'm going to say no to him." See, now that he's dead, that's the only way that he can say no to him. Because when a person is alive, you can't deal with them while they're alive. That's just like when he picked a fight with him. He provoked a fight with his son. And then when he fought him, he tried to strangle him, just choking him to death. And I'm looking at this character. I said, this reminds me of the fight that me and him had. Because I was up on top of him, and he reached up and grabbed me by my neck and said, he put me in a headlock, right? And he said, "I'm going to break your neck." I said, "Go ahead and break it then." and I'm punching him on the side of his head. I said, break it. Go ahead and break it. And this fool tried to break my neck, and I got mad because he didn't break it, so I was punching him on the side of his face. Break it. You tough. Break my neck. And then I'm looking at this movie. I said, this ain't nothing but my story right here.
Yeah, that's another reason. Yeah, I felt that same sense of anger watching that movie, and it's a rare movie that can get me angry like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's like we live that in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of our people, or in this case, black men, have lived that movie, but it's like they don't, they think that the way he was doing things was the right way, and then because they feel that way, they miss the whole point, like you was telling those Negroes on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. You're supposed to make your sons decent, good, and intelligent men, not angry men. And it's simply because he let this Western society beat him down to the point to where he wants to take it out on his son because he wasn't brave enough to take it out on his own enemy. This is why I say those guys are losers. You're losers. And one of the primary reasons why I say they losers is because they did not win the war of the self while they was in their flesh.
Nope.
And the reason why I say that is because after the movie, after he had passed away, and they looked up in the sky, and they symbolically, saw his spirit smiling down on them. Yeah, that's fine, but you're still a punk. You're still a punk because you left a lot of pain behind.
Yeah. I mean, what good is when he was here,
Mm-hmm.
he was the devil to you, and then when he died, it's like, well, you dead now. You can't physically do anything to help me heal.
Mm-hmm. And
so screw you. You can smile all you want, but all you ever gave me was a frown. So
yeah,
that's exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So burn in hell. I don't give a damn. And if you're in heaven, stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
I don't want you nowhere around me because it ain't no excuse. Because you can't tell me you didn't know better because you've been preaching better in your church to all these other folks. But how was you treating your own children? So you did know better. So your father's going to go through the same thing. She's going to go through the same thing. And we, as fathers, are going to all go through that same thing. That's why I always let Deshaun and Dylan know that they are loved, they are cared for, they are respected. All of that. I'm not going to have my sons walking around intimidated by me and angry. If they do end up feeling that way, it ain't going to be because of me. It's going to be because of they are mother running her fucking mouth.
Right. And at this point, man, when it comes in, and they in their 20s, they should have some type of something in them that makes them question their mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they should automatically see, man, that everything she said about you ain't not one thing has been true.
Nope.
So it's like what, like you said, man, they complicit, and if they complicit, screw them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you can't worry about that. You can't worry about if somebody get it or not. When they continuously have an evil presence around them, that's always in competition. There's always a psychological and emotional warfare going on. I've just totally distanced myself now. I don't have nothing to talk about no more. I'm done. Not even the simplest things like how your day go. Now I don't give a shit how your day went. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if it went good. I don't care if it went bad. I don't care at all. Yeah, but that dementia. When I listen to that again, and I'm like, he sounds like he's got dementia. So I looks up dementia. I had to study it again. I'm like, this is it right here. And then, like I said, that came up. That scripture came up from the Quran. I said, okay, I see what's going on with him. He had to retire from preaching. Why? And you remember when I was telling you that conversation that Total Recall didn't record? Oh man, I was so pissed off when I looked at this this thing and saw that it didn't record it. Man, I was pissed because I'm like, damn, that's when I really needed to record. You know, and he was slurring and all of that, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this dude?
Yeah, that was the sign right there. And had you been able to record that, you would have been caught on to it.
Mm-hmm. And so now I'm supposed to come out there and please him and sit up and listen to some brand new lies and all that. Oh, no. I'm good. Because even if you listen to that recording, while he was sitting up there telling lies, his wife, I heard his wife in the background trying to, she was questioning him about when it happened and stuff like that. Bitch, did none of this stuff happen? So when it's like that, you cut everybody off.
Yep.
So if your dad don't look in all of those mirrors, he's going to suffer the same thing.
You know, it's funny. My grandfather, his father, died from Alzheimer's back in 2008, 2009. So, hey man, and Alzheimer's and dementia are extremely similar.
Oh yeah. I mean, they pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Because from what my uncle Gerald told me, that's what my granddad had, and he said my granddad didn't recognize any of his children but him.
Dang. Yeah, my grandfather was the same way. He didn't recognize any of his children. That's like horror. That's a horrible way to die. Losing your mind.
Well,
for some people it's justified, but what I'm saying, ladies, let's say you're a good person or whatever, and you lose your mind. It's terrible because it's a slow death.
Yeah, but all at the same time. That's why I always say people have to really clean their plate up. Regardless of how good my granddad was to me, it makes me wonder, what is it that he didn't resolve in his life? I'm not going to discriminate, dude. I'm going to go in every direction, because I need to know so that I won't make those same mistakes. But I think that I'm doing pretty good. And naturally, this is, to me, the way that I am is exactly how I'm supposed to be. Now people may say, well, you're the man you are because of the way your father treated you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because of the only way that I was able to recognize that what he did to me was wrong. I was already the man I am today.
Yeah, so you are who you are in spite of him, not because of him.
I mean, it's the same case with you,
Yeah. People like that, the narcissists, they always take credit for all the good. When it comes to the evil that they do, they don't never take credit for it.
They never do. And so, this whole living experience is very sensitive and perceptive and deep, as well as in simplicity. You just simply have to be right towards your children, and then you go from there. That's why they say, how does it? Charity begins at home, and then it spreads abroad. And then going back to what you was mentioning earlier about this particular generation nowadays, and the level of their friendships is terrible now. I mean, these kids are out in the street. They destroying each other. They fighting all the time. It's only because of the home front. It's the parents. Now, if the parents knew how to be decent human beings, then that would transfer over to their children.
Yeah, and their children would want to talk to them.
You know, and their children would go out there. It's like if they had a disagreement with they friends, they would sit down and talk about it. And I know that that's real. Oh, let me stop saying that. And I know that that's a fact because that's exactly the way that we used to do it back when I was coming up. You know, we used to sit down and talk about things and what bothered us and stuff like that. We used to sit down and talk about it. We didn't fight about things. You know, we would sit down and talk about it. Well, you know, David, I didn't like it when you said this, and it hurt my feelings when you said thus and so, and stuff like that. Okay, well, let's sit down and talk about it. Tell me where I went wrong. Tell me where I failed in being a friend to you, so I can honestly change it and work on that. So that
Right.
we, you know, so that we can strengthen the bond. That's how you strengthen the bond.
Basically, don't leave anything lingering.
Nothing. That's
I know, man, a big part of my life, man, up to recent or whatever, I would leave things lingering. Whatever the reason why was because of like I said, you know, once again I couldn't communicate with Pops well, so it's like that type of relationship with him took it down into how I responded with everybody. So, but I recognize that now. And now I'm, you know, and plus, you know, talking to you helps me to heal too. So I'm recognizing, man, if you feel certain, man, let you know, talk to that person, or don't let things linger to where your relationship with them sours because of, you know, something that could be trivial, you know, something trivial that could be finalized and you can talk about.
right. Because it really doesn't matter how much history you talk about, how much religion you talk about, how much whatever you talk about. If like you say, if there's something there lingering that's not dealt with, all else of what you talk about, it really has no meaning.
Right.
You know, that's why I was telling you the other time. You know, if there's something that irritates you, then you need to let me know. Because I
Right.
know I can be a real difficult person sometimes, and sometimes I actually do it on purpose because I feel like I have to express it that way. But how am I going to know that is dead wrong? You know, because just because I feel like I have to express it that way, that's emotional. That's not intellectual. That's not compassion. You know, and therefore it's not right. And so, even though I know it's not right, sometimes I need to hear from the other party, you know, to let me know how that is affecting them. And therefore, if it's affecting them, then it's affecting the bond.
Right.
You know, and the bond can't grow any stronger than it is if those things are not faced and resolved.
Right.
Now, I sent one of our conversations to Talik.
Oh, you talking about Angel Snuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The one that I sent him was when we was talking about celebrities and humility. When we was talking about when I was explaining to you how I felt like Malcolm X had self-destructed and pretty much killed himself.
Right.
And I told him, I said, I'm going to send you a video of me and my brother talking, and we're talking about some things. And I said, and if you want to do a show on that particular subject with Malcolm X, then you let me know, because I'll do a show on that. And what I can do, I can record it with this and then just put it in the video and send it to him, and he can upload it.
Right.
And I ain't gonna hide my face. I could put my face up there. I could make a picture with his face and my face. Yeah, I'm telling you that Malcolm committed suicide. How about that? You want to deal with that? Are y'all ready to deal with that?
No, they ain't, but they gonna have to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm looking to get it. Go ahead. And even Talik may try to defend it, and I've got all types of information that points right in that direction. And Betty Shabazz and them know that.
Well, yeah, she dead too, but his kids, his daughters know.
Well, his main bodyguard, Kenyatta, had admitted. He said, "I believe that Malcolm wanted to die." And then, if you look like I was telling you, when he told his other bodyguard, Benjamin, it's time for martyrs now.
Yeah, that's suicide talk.
It's time for martyrs. What do you mean it's time? What are you doing within this time? You're telling people not to check for weapons. You park your car 2 blocks down the street, and you're walking out in the opening to the Audubon Ballroom. So I figure, well, you know what? Considering the Nation of Islam will supposedly have been wanting to kill him in such a way, don't you think that leading up to the time of the speech, don't you think they would have had some people on the street looking for Malcolm's car?
You know it.
And then I know he was being watched. He parks his car 2 blocks. He's walking down the street. Nation didn't want him killed, dude. The nation was angry at him. But the Nation of Islam didn't assassinate no Malcolm X. Now, if he's ready to talk about that, let's deal with it. Because what Malcolm, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, okay. I don't know what this. Oh, hold on for a second.
What was that beat sound?
This must be my alarm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's my alarm again. Now, you would think in the archives when they was asserting that the Nation of Islam was watching him every step that he made, but this man was able to park his car 2 blocks down, walk out in the open towards the Audubon Ballroom in the daytime, and see Spike had did a scene on that when that black lady had stopped him. Are you okay, son? Are you okay? You remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that scene, and he just looked like he was in a whole other universe.
Yeah, and she said, Jesus will protect you. Okay. I understand where you was going with that, Spike. But when you study Malcolm closely, like I did, that was when he parked his car 2 blocks. So if the Nation of Islam wanted to kill this man, how come they couldn't do it then? Why did they wait until he made it to the Audubon Ballroom if they really wanted him dead so bad? Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, those guys who pulled the trigger was part of the Nation of Islam. Yeah. Well, Elijah Muhammad had also told them to leave Malcolm alone. This is the reason why Elijah Muhammad said none of my followers did that. Because when you don't follow orders, you're no longer his follower, as far as they're concerned. So this is the reason why he said none of my followers had anything to do with it at all. Now, people may say, you just using an excuse. No, I'm just telling you what the old man said. He said none of his followers had anything to do with it at all. Now, even though Farrakhan was running his mouth about Malcolm and say he is worthy of death, he still didn't say kill Malcolm. He said he's worthy of death. Now, people may say, well, that pretty much means the same thing. Yeah, it is. But he didn't tell the Muslims to kill Malcolm. He said he's worthy of it. You know, if people would just listen to what the words mean. Now, that's just like if somebody was to harm one of my sons. And if the police department had got to them first and I couldn't get my hands on them, and they put him in jail and said he's going to do 15 years, I would say I think the nigga should die. I think you need to give him the death penalty. And you better keep his ass in there, because if you let him out, he's definitely going to get the death penalty, because I feel as though he's worthy to die. So I totally get that, you know. And so when you look at it for what it is, they didn't touch Malcolm in that 2-hour walk. Then he goes in there, he tells them don't search for weapons. And then he uses the excuse, we can't have, I don't want black people to be afraid of other black people. But you've been afraid of black people for the past year and a half. You know, that's why you've been on the run. You know what I'm saying? You there?
Yeah, I had to leave. I was moving.
Oh, okay.
Keep talking, I'm listening to you.
And so he gets stressed out. He's calling all these people to open up for him. Nobody answers. I'm not even going to mention Dick Gregory, because Dick Gregory is a big-ass liar. Oh, I knew Malcolm was going to get assassinated. Shut your old ass up. I'm so happy that old fool is gone, because he lies so much. Then he says, time for martyrs. Okay, but if you knew that this was going to happen, why did you invite your wife and your kids to watch this happen? Or did he feel different once he got there after he already invited them down there? And it was just too late to call Betty and tell him that he changed his mind. You guys need to stay where you at. Then when you look at some more footage of Malcolm, he says that I feel as though I'm like a dead man already. You know, I don't have any fear of anyone or anything. Okay, that sounds like a man who's losing his mind. Because I can understand what he means symbolically, but he's pretty much saying that he's the walking dead because he has no fear. And he's not worried about anything or anyone. And then when you go back to Malcolm's mother, when she was under tremendous pressure, she had a psychological breakdown. So you wonder, is genetically, is Malcolm capable of the same thing? Because when I was looking at this, it showed that he was absolutely capable of that. And then when you look at one of his brothers, I forget what his brother's name was, but when his brother was expiated from the Nation of Islam for 6 months, his brother lost his mind. So this potential, this ingredient lingers in Malcolm's family, to where when they're under so when they're under tremendous pressure, they lose it.
I ain't never heard, not in all my years of people talking about Malcolm and doing announcements, I ain't never heard nobody break it down like that. But man, that's a wormhole that you open.
And see, this is why I told Talik, listen to this. And if you want to go into this, we can. But if you don't want to go into this, we really don't have anything to talk about. You know, since he wants to bring up Malcolm all the time, let's talk about Malcolm. Let's be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's be honest. And then when you look at all of his children, all of his daughters, his daughter who tried to kill Farrakhan, where was she? They put her in an insane asylum. They put her in one. So this is a strong condition in his family. Strong. When the pressure is on, they break. And then when you go to that documentary, Malcolm X Make It Plain, when his brother met Malcolm at the airport, when Malcolm had that information about Elijah Muhammad, his brother Earl said, I've never seen him like that. He was sweating, he was fidgeting. He said he just couldn't get himself together. That's because he was under pressure because of that information he had on Elijah Muhammad. He couldn't get himself together.
Man.
And then when Alex Haley called him, Alex Haley said the very same thing. He said he sounded different when he was on the phone. He said this got to the father of Malcolm X, and he sounded different on the phone. We're talking about pressure here. Pressure. He said this is not the abominable Malcolm X. This got to the father. The same way pressure got to the mother of Malcolm X. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. Malcolm allowed himself to be put out of his misery. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said before, Josh, he had options. He knew all of those people overseas, and it was a lot of them saying, why don't you just get your family and just come over here and just let all that stuff die down, probably be gone for like another 3 to 5 years, and once it all dies down, then you go back. Because Elijah Muhammad died in 1975. Malcolm died in 1965.
Man.
So you mean to tell me you couldn't be gone for 10 years and you had people, rich people over there that could have took care of you and your family?
Dude, he gave up.
He gave up. That's the conversation I want to have with Talik. Talk about it. He gave up. Okay, now I'm going to bring up something else. Malcolm had recorded a letter, and you probably heard it, to Elijah Muhammad. He was practically begging Elijah Muhammad to accept him back into the nation of Islam.
I heard about that, but that's true.
Yeah. So, he also told Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee one night when he was under pressure how much it hurt him that he was rejected by his own father. And Ozzie Davis had said, I could tell at that very moment that if Elijah Muhammad would have called Malcolm and said he can come back, Malcolm would have been off and running. So, Malcolm saw Elijah Muhammad as his father figure due to the fact that his own father rejected him. He felt as though Elijah Muhammad rejected him. I mean, if you really want to talk about it, let's really talk about it. Let's get all inside the man's head. Then, there's more. If there's one thing that this government knows, it's pressure.
Yeah.
They know. They know that when you pressure a person after what's that?
What?
I hear some sounds.
That's probably like my PlayStation where it's real loud and fan.
But after you, Josh.
Yeah.
Can you turn that down a little bit?
Okay, I'll turn it off. I know it's real loud.
But
does it sound like a wind type thing?
No, it sounds But
can you still hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn it off.
No, because this is really important.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna turn it off.
And see, what they do is they find out who all of your supporters are. And they know that people lean upon their supporters for their ambitions and their strength. So what you do to destroy a person is you discredit this person in the view of all their supporters in order for them to lose their support. You have to do that first. That's the first stages of pressure. And then you pressure them with information. You remember when they was J. Edgar Hoover had recordings of Dr. King's infidelity, and he sent Dr. King and his wife a tape. And he told Dr. King, he said, if you don't kill yourself, I'm going to give this tape to your wife. See, that's pressure.
Yeah.
And Dr. King survived that. But the whole thing is, the pressure that they put on these leaders is for one purpose, for them to self-destruct. It's all about for them to self-destruct. And the reason why they want these guys to self-destruct is to discredit their own image and ability to inspire others in their community.
Right.
If you look at Hannibal Barca, Hannibal killed himself.
You got to break that down to me.
Yeah, Hannibal killed himself. Hannibal was only 69 years old.
69? I thought Hannibal was young when he died.
No, Hannibal was 69 years old. And after they used his own methods in order to destroy him, simply because they couldn't come up with any of their own methods to beat him, they used his own methods against him in his own homeland. And so to protect his own people, he purposely went into exile. And so he went up in the mountains. And so after a time, he still went around and he taught other people like the Gauls and all of that how to destroy Rome. And so after Rome had realized that the only reason why these people are winning against us is because they're being trained by Hannibal. So Hannibal had to go further into exile. And so once they started closing in on Hannibal, Hannibal hid himself up in one of his refuges in this mountain, and he killed himself. Pressure. We're talking about pressure again. Toussaint Louverture, the Haitian revolutionary, the one who defeated Napoleon.
Yeah, he got a disgraceful death.
Absolutely, but they put him up in the French mountains in a real cold cell, starved him to death. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What happened to all of your supporters? So this is the reason why the Haitian people today are not strong, because the person who was their revolutionary, they have to discredit how they died in order not to keep the people inspired. Now, people may say, well, you're doing the same thing with Malcolm. No, I'm telling you the truth about Malcolm. Now, this don't take anything from how much I appreciate Malcolm and how much I love Malcolm. But I'm not going to be no liar either. Because if you look at the results of his family, what happened to his grandson and stuff over there, and his grandson setting fires and killing his wife, there's some type of psychological problem going on with this family.
Mm-hmm.
And people just need to see it for what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, if he wants to really talk about something on his level, let's talk about that. Because you remember when I was telling you that Talik is still in that Malcolm and Elijah Muhammad mindset?
Right.
Now, if you want to talk about that, we can talk about it. And I can liberate you from all of that stuff and take you into other areas to where your talk is actually going to have further meaning. Because if you are still locked in the past on these particular men, you have to know the truth about these men so that you can, like, okay, I appreciate you, but I'm going to have to let you go because you self-destruct. Now, this goes to Martin Luther King. Now, if you know that Mahatma Gandhi used a nonviolent method in order to liberate the Indians. And if you saw that it didn't work for him, what makes you think it's going to work for you?
Especially what makes you think it's gonna work for you when you're a Negro.
Right. What makes you think it's going to work for you? I mean, if you are you put your feet on the same path of a man who uses a particular method. If it didn't work for him, you still thinking you still putting your foot on the same path. It's going to lead to the same demise because you're still dealing with the same government. No, he's dealing with Great Britain. America is a child of Great Britain.
Yeah, it's a daughter.
It's gonna you're gonna end the same way. Mahatma Gandhi got shot down. You're gonna get shot down because you're using the same methodology. You're still using the same thing. So no, man. Still using the same thing.
And you know, people be like, you know, because of the whole, our people have become so redundant with the same methodologies as well. Somebody will ask you like, are black people just naturally dumb? You know, it makes you wonder. I don't believe that, but sometimes the way our people act, man, you're like, dang, is Negroes that stupid? Because our people still trying to do the same thing for the past, well, I don't know how long, but you know, doing the same rhetoric and trying to march and talk big talk and all this stuff, but it's like we just going in a circle of filth.
You know, people can say I'm judging, but yeah, to me, black people are dumb.
Well, I feel the same way.
You know, because considering everybody went to see Black Panther, you didn't get Black Panther at all. You didn't get it. You didn't get that at all.
You're right.
Here's a superhero telling you that he wants to build bridges with the enemy. When Killmonger said, no, we need to use this technology for our own people, to uplift our own people. Well, who are you trying to build bridges in? And you see this fool in the United Nations. You're trying to build bridges with the same people where everybody in that room is colonizing your land.
Yeah, you know, shoot, even the whole, when he accepts that CIA cat into his land, I was like, you fool.
Mm-hmm. But
that just show you how dumb the African is. Africans, they don't have the same history with the white man and the CIA that we do, and we know how the white man is.
Well, even though we know how the white man is, there's a whole lot of people over here who still didn't get it.
Yeah.
They still bragging about Black Panther this, Black Panther that. You know what? You Negroes need to be quiet, and I'm gonna leave y'all alone because y'all stupid.
That movie, you think about it, is a psyop, as they say, and it's done a whammy on these Negroes.
You know, making all these videos, everybody is in their dashikis and they dancing in front of the big poster. I was like, these niggas are stupid. Here's the Black Panther telling Killmonger, I don't give a damn about the rest of Africa. He's only concerned about where he's living, and he's only concerned about where he's living and everybody else in the European country world. And he went to the United Nations to show you this. So what the hell are you proud of? And then I saw a video of people expressing how they felt about the Black Panther movie, and the guy who played Black Panther was standing behind this little curtain because he wanted to come out and surprise people. Here I am, I'm Black Panther. This is an actor, okay? It's an actor. And he's coming out surprising people running up, hugging him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I said, I'm done with niggas. I'm done.
Yeah, because a lot of people derive self-esteem from people who don't even exist, or people who playing roles.
Yeah.
And even he in the interview said that Black Panther was an enemy. That he, you know, I don't know if you saw that video, but you know, people done a lot of commentaries about how the main actor who plays him even said that his character is an enemy.
Yeah, he said that on the Breakfast Club, pretty much.
Yeah, and that Killmonger is the real hero because he was for what he wanted. He just thought that Killmonger was a nigger.
You know, that's how they gave you the image of Jesus. It's the same thing. I mean, Black Panther ain't nothing to the black community but Jesus in a Black Panther costume.
Right.
That's all it is. You know, but it's a trip once you break it all down. But I told Talik, I said, you know, we can use this program that I have, you know, and we can be on the phone, you know, because I told him I don't do the Skype and the video thing. I don't do that.
Right.
To me, that's too niggerish.
Right.
You know, now we can have a conversation on this program, and then we can make it into a video, put our picture on it, just do it like that. I said, but
Right.
the Skype thing, the video face, no, I don't do that. You know, because to me, that's just it's too ghetto. To me, it's ghetto.
Right.
You know, people need to hear what's being said. They don't need to see nothing, because obviously, what people are seeing nowadays, they're not getting it.
Mm-mm.
You know, because I feel as though I've studied Malcolm long enough to present a case in front of people that proves that Malcolm committed suicide. He gave up. Now, people may not want to say that, not want to accept it, but I would even sit down and talk to Farrakhan about it.
And if Farrakhan is honest, he'd probably agree.
Yeah, he gave up. And only question that I would ask him, do you think that you and Malcolm would have reconciled your differences had he lived? I bet you Farrakhan would have said yes. He still had love for Malcolm. He was just upset at Malcolm. Now people say, no, he wanted Malcolm dead. You talking about an emotional person. When he said Malcolm is worthy of that, yeah, he's worthy of it, but he didn't say go out and kill Malcolm. He said he's only worthy of it. People say, oh, you try to mix it up. No, I ain't mixing nothing up. I just know exactly what words mean.
Yeah, you know, critical thinking ain't something that Negroes can do, most of them. So they ain't gonna understand the inner meaning of words. They just react emotionally. Speaking of Farrakhan, you heard about him? I know a lot of, him calling out the Jews.
He's doing
he
what?
did that like a week or I think he was calling out the Jews or whatever like a week or so ago. A lot of their leaders right now are mad at him, calling them anti-Semites.
Oh well, whatever. That's the circle. Farrakhan does that on purpose to bring attention to himself.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, he's been going back and forth with the Jews for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like whenever he gets he runs out of things to talk about, then he starts talking about reparations.
Yeah, because he's been saying the same thing for years now.
And then when he don't have anything, to, once the reparations conversation runs out, then he starts attacking the Jews again. So it's no big deal. You know, if
did you watch them? Oh, you go.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you at least download those documentaries?
No, I haven't gotten around to those yet.
Oh, I figured not. I know you would have talked about them. Or
Yeah.
you brought them up if you did. You'll like them though. But before you had caught, I just finished watching the second part.
Are they in the same section, right?
Yeah, the same folder. It's the PBS Frontline folder. It's about how Iran and Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, don't like each other. And how they've been fighting this stuff. And, I definitely want to get your take on it whenever you get some time.
I told you that was going to happen.
They fighting now. They've been fighting for a while. I didn't know that, And I know you've been over there. Like, you ain't been over that part. But I know you've been to the Middle East. So, I know it probably brings up memories or maybe you be able to offer insight on some things. They talk a lot about the Shiites and and how it talked about how that all started. So I thought that was very interesting how that whole part of Islam started. So it's a big part in why they fighting.
Yep.
Because basically, it seemed like Iran, the whole Arab world in many ways is like against Iran.
Yeah, because Iran is cahooting with the infidels. And the Western world is looked upon as the infidels. That's why when they were trying to assert that Osama bin Laden told the Europeans that if you will get your people out of Saudi Arabia, then I'll stop killing Europeans. That's a treaty agreement. Nope, not taking that in because Muslims don't make treaty agreements with people who they consider the infidels. So that's a lie right there. That's a lie. And then when you have all of those different sects of Islam, which really don't exist, because Muhammad said that everybody is just Muslims, and just like Christ's house is divided, so is the Islamic world.
Right.
And then everybody goes to Mecca once a year and they practice this thing of unity, practice it. The Hanbali, the Hanafi, the Shiites, and the Sunni, and the Nation of Islam, everybody go there and they pretend like they are all Muslims together, and then after they do everything together, everybody still leave just as divided as they was when they went.
Right.
So Islam actually really doesn't even exist anymore, because when Muhammad had said, he said 3 generations after me will no longer be of me. So you're looking at a generation represents 20 years. So he was saying that 60 years after his physical death, Islam, as he produced it, will not exist. So what is this y'all practicing today? This is not Islam. And y'all all say that y'all follow Prophet Muhammad. None of y'all follow Prophet Muhammad unless you are exactly the way that he had gave it to the world. Now, if you are divided, you are not a follower of Prophet Muhammad. So they're nothing but a bunch of Arabs posing as Muslims. So the holy Mecca is really not holy at all.
Oh, it's filthy. Just like the house of Saud is filthy.
And the house of Saud is going to allow Mecca to exist simply to hide under the cloak, hide themselves under the cloak of Islam. I mean, it's just like what the Jews, the Zionists do when it comes to the Jews.
Sure, I've heard that the house of Saud are Jews.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they really are Jewish and not so-called Arabs.
Well, they're Jews because they associate with Jews. They're actually the Zionist Jews. You have
the ultimate one.
Yeah, you have the Jews who practice the religion of Judaism, and you have the Jews who are in politics who are the Zionist Jews. And those are the ones who went and took the land for the Palestinians and settled the practicing Jews there. But if you don't study, you're really not going to know the distinction between all of that. I mean, that's just like they said, well, we belong here because our people was here thousands of years ago. Well, the Moors was in Spain almost 2,000 years ago. So if the Moors were alive today and they went back to Spain, would they have the right to take the Spain from the Morocco Peninsula and settle back there? They wouldn't have the right to do that. So that's the religion and politics dilemma Because I put up a post last night about how everybody is caught within a manufactured dilemma, and that manufactured dilemma is the effects of racism and this love and hate thing that's going on between blacks and whites and Hispanics and everything, and everybody is caught inside of this dilemma by their emotions and the effects of history and rage and animosity. We're caught in a storm, and it's a dilemma that's been manufactured that people are too afraid to let go of in order for it to be resolved. And when you're dealing with a race of people like whites that are always consistently causing pain, you're going to always be caught in that storm due to the fact that you're a human being.
Right.
And you have feelings. So, this it's a big mess. This whole thing is a big mess.
Yeah, it's a sewer. That's what it is.
Mhm.
And the white man is in the middle of everything.
Mhm. It's a big mess, and everybody is affected just as much as the European, because everybody got animosity inside of them, and they hate us and we hate them. They hurt us, we hurt them. Everybody is caught up. Everybody is caught up, and so the only way that you're going to be able to step outside of all of that, you have to be a person like me who is a writer, and you have to step outside of all of that in order for you to write about it and just stay out of it.
Yeah. Stay neutral.
Yeah, you can't even be neutral. I mean, you have to step totally outside of it and just send the information out there. And those who get it, because that's really the only way all of this is going to be healed. Everybody has to understand how they're being used and how their humanity is being used in order to keep this wicked machine functioning. People are like, well, how is it that we can let go of it? You have to choose to let go of the hate and the animosity, and stop thinking that you have to hold on to it as a security mechanism. And every time you feel as though you can let it down a little bit, somebody shoots up a church, somebody shoots up a school. Somebody gets killed unjustly by a cop, and so you feel as though you have to keep your guards up because of the animosity mechanism that they're using with everybody. Because, like I say, everybody's human. So we're caught within a storm.
Yeah. And it takes a very strong and wise person to be able to just totally step out of it. Because, you got a lot of people, man, who be angry with you if they heard what you're saying, because they want you to be messed up like them or always a victim. And that's the one thing I don't like about Negroes is that, yeah, we know everything. We know the white man shooting down and stuff, but it's like, dang, y'all don't. The way that and I know you see it on your timeline all the time, and it's like every time something happens, you Negroes, it's like y'all happy almost that somebody, one of us get killed. It's like, to me, I look at it like torture porn. It's like, to me, that's what it's like, torture porn, where we get it's like a fetish with our people that they like being shot and killed and victims all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, based off the way they always on the timeline on YouTube, always, like, it seems like they almost like get some type of satisfaction from us being oppressed just so they can whine about something.
Yep. Absolutely.
Do you ever feel that way when you get in your timeline?
Yeah, I feel like that all the time. It's something for them to vent this hatred that's been imbued in them, and it's gotten to the point to where they actually feel as though there's a surge of energy there. It's not energy, dude. I mean, it's actually a weakness. Because if you look at your state of morality while you're expressing this, you're not winning.
No.
Somebody actually won against you, because now they've turned you into a hater just as much as they are, and you're caught in the storm again.
Right.
You're going back and forth. You're going back and forth. You know, a lot of people don't want to have to deal with that, but that's the reality of it. That's the only way that you're going to be able to overcome it.
Right.
You know, you have to choose to want to overcome it. Yep. But I'm gonna give you a call once cause I'm gonna sit around here and chill for a little while.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give you a call most likely when I get to the plantation, or maybe even before then, cause it's still early right now. It's only 5:43 out here.
Yeah, it's 7:43 here.
Yeah. Okay, man. I'll be talking with you a little later.
All right, man.
All right. Peace.